Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayana Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sadashivasamarabham Shankaracharya Madhyam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara Vande Guru Parampara. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudiraye. Yeah, Jai Gurudev, till where did we do yesterday? I'm sorry. Then we started at 90 from 94th page, right? All of you are muted. You'll have to unmute and speak. Did we do this? How objections are presented in Vedanta?
Page 102, Brahmaraji.
102, is it?
Yeah.
Also, there was a lot of Purva Paksha and Uttara Paksha and Shankaracharya's. This one, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting yesterday.
Oh, sorry, my volume was very low, I guess. I don't know. I just realized my volume is very low. So is it from here? We'll do the Shankara's response. what I will do is I will just start from here. If there is no result, why perform action? And we'll go further down.
I think my internet is problem. I will just leave and come again.
No problem. No problem. So if there is no result, why perform action? At this point in the argument, any practical person is going to ask, if there is no result, why should I perform the action? Bella, you'll have to mute yourself. I don't know why I'm not.
Yeah,
able-
I am unable to mute myself, Brahmaraji.
Okay,
It is strange. I'm unable to leave also.
wait, let me see this. Yeah, that's fine. I've muted you. That's okay.
But
So
I'm still unmuted.
is it? But okay, if you're able to listen, that's fine. At this point in the argument, any practical person is going to ask, if there is no result, why should I perform the action? After all, is it not more pleasant to do nothing? To do all these nitya naimitika karmas takes a lot of time. If there is no result, surely I need not do them. No, comes the reply, because if you do not do them, you will bring trouble upon yourself. There are many people who choose to go to heaven only because they are mortally afraid of hell, not because they are interested in heaven. Hell has been painted so vividly in their minds that naturally they cannot stand to think of having to go there. Even to hear about it makes their blood pressure go up. Therefore, they want to avoid hell by going to heaven. This kind of heaven-hell discussion is what pushes people into religion, in fact. If the heaven and hell aspects were removed, these religions would topple. No one would even look into them. When the karma that is to be done by you is not done, you attract papa, and therefore it is to be done, according to how some people interpret the karmani akarma portion of this verse. And the expression akarmani karma is interpreted as not doing an action that is to be done. According to this argument, if the to be done action is not done, a result, phala, is produced and it produces karma. Therefore, karma is akarma and akarma is karma. Akarma produces phala and karma does not. The one who sees all of this in this way is wise among human beings and has done all that is to be done. Saha buddhiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna karma krita. This is the Purva Mimamsaka's argument, to which Shankara responds as follows. Shankara's response: if what you do does not produce a result and what you do not do produces a result, why do any karma at all? Thus, Shankara argues what is not done does not produce unseen result, adrishta phala, in the form of punya and papa, although there can be drishta phala, seen results. The omission of a to be done action can produce conflict or worry, which is a drishta phala. For example, when you have to write a letter and you do not do it, there may be some conflict. In this way, there can be drishta phala, but no adrishta phala, which is punya and papa, the invisible results that accrue to the person who performs the action. We are talking only about punya and papa here. For a karma that is not done, There can be no papa or punya, and for a karma that is done, results cannot be avoided. Karma phala will always be there as long as the karma is there. Even Nitya Naimitika karma produces results in the form of punya. Any to be done action, when it is performed, produces a result, and not doing it produces only drishta phala, seen results, and not papa. When what is to be done is not done, there is always some inner irritation, some sense that you have missed out. Daily meditation, for instance, definitely produces punya, if you do it, of course. If, however, out of laziness or for some other reason, you do not perform this action, your omission will not produce papa, although it may produce some irritation. You may feel badly that you did not do it. And if you did not do it the day before either, you may become even sadder. But this is drishta phala only, not adrishta phala. For an action that is not done, no result can accrue. Only for action that is done can there be adrishta phala, either punya or papa. If the action is proper, it will attract punya, and if it is improper, it will attract papa. Shankara argues that if an action that is not done can produce results, then that which does not exist, asat, can produce that which exists, sat. To say that a non-existent thing can produce an existent thing is like saying that a non-existent mother can bear a son. This contradicts all means of knowledge, sarva pramana virodha. It is equally contradictory to say that karmas that are done do not produce results. You cannot throw a stone and expect that there will be no result. There will be a result, especially if it hits someone. Something must take place, some kind of reaction will be there. Therefore, action without reaction makes no sense at all. And again, how can one become a kritsna karma krit by the mere knowledge that performing the nitya naimitika karma is equivalent to akarma, and performance of the and non-performance of the nitya naimitika karma is equivalent to karma? Thus, Shankara raises yet another objection to the Purva Mimamsaka's argument. Jnana is what is being talked about here. Knowledge of karma and akarma. But mere knowledge does not produce results. Doing something produces results. How then can you say that the person is kritsna karma krit? You cannot. You can only say he or she is the one who knows all the karmas that are to be done and not to be done. Kritsna karmavit bhavati, Kritsna karmakrit bhavati, natu Kritsna karmakrit bhavati. There is nothing to be done, only to be seen. Kritsna karmakrit refers to a person of fulfillment, one who has achieved everything, a liberated person, a mukta purusha. Krishna makes this point clear not only here but before also, when he said that he would tell Arjuna about action and inaction, knowing which one is liberated. Tatte karma pravakshyami yad jnatva mokshase shubhat. Had there been anything to be done, Krishna would have said, had used the expression yat kritva, doing which, and not yat jnatva, knowing which. In analysis, Mimamsa, what has been said before must always be kept in mind. Otherwise, there would be no analysis. When Krishna says knowing which, he meant knowing what karma is and what akarma is, which is not as easy as you may think. Karma is not to be taken as merely performing action, nor is akarma to be taken as not doing action. The real nature of karma and akarma is something that has to be understood by you, knowing which you will be released from all punya and papa that is inauspicious. The Purva Mimamsaka says that you have to do karma, but what is said here is that by knowing the nature of karma and akarma, you are released from all punya and papa. This is what is meant by Vakyartha Vichara, inquiry into the sentence. The inquiry is done to find out what the sentence means and whether it has any other meaning. If there is another meaning possible, it will reveal a philosophy, a stand. Here, a particular stand is analyzed by Shankara and then dismissed as not being what was intended, as not being the meaning of the sentence. In this verse, Krishna is referring to knowledge alone. His description of one who has this knowledge continues in the next verse. So before we go to the next verse, does anyone want to add or share or recap what was done before?
Brahmaraji, there was one line about Sat and Asat that was
Yeah.
not clear yesterday. Could you please explain that?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Shankara argues that if an action that is not done can produce results, then that which does not exist, asat, can produce that which exists, sat. So I think the Purva Mimamsaka's argument was that if you do not perform your Nitya Naimitika karma, you accrue papa. And therefore that will, that is seeing akarmani karma or karma and akarma. Karmani, karma, akarmani. So in the same line, Shankara is extrapolating it to say, when you do not do karma, there is result. That is what the Purva Mimamsaka's argument is. The Purva Pakshi's argument is. So if you extrapolate it, it's like you're saying that which is non-existent, that is which is asat, can produce something that is existent, which is sat.
So it is like barren woman's child.
Yeah, it is like you're saying there's a non-existent person, like a non-existent mother can bear a son. So this contradicts all means of knowledge, sarva pramana virodha. So therefore, that thing gets negated. So that means that is not the way you should interpret this verse, karmanya karmaya paschet, akarmani cha karmaya. So therefore, he says you must look at the vachyartha, the literal meaning. It's not just the literal meaning, the implied meaning. So is there any other meaning of this? Because this meaning does not hold good. So that vichara that Shankaracharya has so beautifully done is to negate that this is not the way this verse has to be interpreted, not the way that the Purva Pakshi has interpreted. In fact, Nana had said there was nothing, there was no Purva Pakshi sitting in front of Shankaracharya and bringing up these arguments. Shankara himself has, time and again brought out these the contradictory meanings just to put up the stance that what if this is how we interpret this in the form of
Wow. Amazing.
And then he himself has kind of counter-argued that, doing this vichara, this vachyartha vichara, and then negating that, negating the initial stand, the Purva Pakshi stand, and bringing up the um, actual interpretation in the form of Advaita. So the whole concept of the Purva Pakshi is that Karma Kanda is important. Karma is what will lead you to liberation. That is what they hold. Their stand, the stand of the Purva Pakshi is that karma is what will give you moksha. Whereas Shankaracharya he's always and presented it that way, and Krishna himself has said it so many times. It is not through karma, but it is through jnana.
Yeah, so he has summarized so beautifully. It is kritsna karma with bhavati, natu krishna karma krit.
Krit. Correct. Kritsna karma with bhavati, natu kritsna karma krit bhavati. So therefore, there is nothing to be done, only to be seen, only to be realized that you are not the doer. That is the one thing that that has to be realized.
Yesterday, we also had one example like Draupadi's insult during the Rajya Sabha, where all the acharyas and all the elders, they were present and they did not do anything. They did not intervene. So there was Drishtafala. They were all killed. Mrinalji had one nice question. I think Mrinalji can put up well. I am not able to put it in a right term.
I don't think she's joined in today. She's not there today.
She had a question like, if somebody is killing a person and she's a witness, what should she do? Like, what should she interfere, or should she just watch or leave like this? I think that was the question. What type of action would be there? Like Drishtfala and Adrishtfala. What will she gain? Either by watching or intervening, or leave it as such?
What comes to my mind is just that you are responsible for your actions and your inactions. You're responsible for everything. If someone is felling a tree and you're just walking by and you're a mute witness to that and you're not doing anything, you are of course responsible for that. If you are a person who has got some conscience in you, it will prick you, isn't it? If there's some adharma happening around you and you just walk away, that will prick you. That itself is your drishtaphala. That is what Shankaracharya has mentioned here. That guilt, that conflict itself is a drishtaphala. You don't need to wait for the adrishtaphala to happen. You go through that conflict. What has to be done if it is not done? If you're not standing up to dharma when adharma is happening, then that conflict itself, that's the whole point. That is why Arjuna landed himself in this conflict in the first place. He knew he had to, in the heart of hearts, he had to stand up for dharma, but he wanted to leave. He wanted to be in that non-acting mode. He just wanted to leave the the battlefield. And that is why he landed himself in this confusion. That confusion itself is Arjuna's, is Drishtaphala. So if someone is killing someone and you're just a mute witness, I think that would not be right. You will have to stand up and do what is to be done.
Then you will incur the Drishtfala by looking, just witnessing, you will witness the drishtphala. There was a
Isn't it?
query like you will incur drishtphala or adrishtphala. That was the
Drishtaphala.
query.
No, I
So
think from what
drishtphala.
we read today, what you incur is drishtaphala.
Yeah, drishtphala.
Huh. Because that guilt
Like in
itself
the
is, yes, go ahead.
like
Chap.
like in the example of Draupadi, the drishtphala for the Bhishma Pitama or the other Duryodhana's brother and himself, they were killed by Arjun. So that was the drishtphala they had, uh, like because they were witnessing the wrong thing was happening, and they were witnessing without, and they were not doing any action. So they incurred the drishtphala and they were killed in the wars. So similarly, like
Yeah, I don't know whether I may be wrong. I don't know the drishtaphala of Dushasana, who is, who actually did the action of disrobing Draupadi. For him, his adrishtaphala, because he accrued papa by doing that, is that he was killed by Bhima. Whereas the drishtaphala for all the other elders who were mute witness to this and who did not do anything was the guilt. I think all those people who had that conscience inside of them, except say Duryodhana and all those vile people who are anyway on the path of adharma, except for them, all the others, the elders like Bhishma and everybody else, the the pain that they went through, that they were not able to do anything, that itself was their
the
drishtaphala.
drishtphala. Okay, the remorse feeling they were having.
The remorse, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
The reason they were killed in the war, I'm not sure whether that was that becomes the adrishtaphala for them.
Adrishtphala. Okay. This was the only query we were discussing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very well explained, Brahmaraji. Correct.
yeah. Like we
Yeah.
give the example when we talk about responsibility, there is a banana peel on the road and you do not pick it up because you have not put it. And someone slips and falls. How do you feel? Do you feel responsible for that? So similarly, whatever is to be done, if it is not done, the immediate drishtaphala that you get is that conflict, that pain that you go through for not having done what is to be done.
Percy,
Yeah.
Hariom.
Thank you. It's clear. Like it's very clear now.
Yeah, Persiji had quoted wonderful small by example by Gurudev, that if you there are robbers in your house and if you see that they are well equipped and you cannot fight against them, so lock yourself in the washroom and then let them rob. If you feel that they are a little weaker, then you can have the defense.
Hmm.
So I think there kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava, I must like do
Correct.
it differently.
Correct. Ultimately, preservation of life. So whatever it it takes to preserve your life, that is that. You see, it depends. Your priorities change depending. We cannot have a one size fits all. It depends. That is why we have kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava kartum shakyam. So it depends on that particular situation, what is expected of you, what is priority at that time. There you cannot say, in the example that Percy G had quoted, you cannot say not preventing them from robbing the house is priority. There, protecting your life, saving your life becomes more important. If they are more equipped and you are kind of not enough geared up for that. So that is why I think moment to moment, it is how alert we are to life, so that we are able to, our thinking process, see all this knowledge, that is why it says knowledge purifies the intellect. And With a purified intellect, you're able to take the right decision at any given point. Otherwise, we will only be guided by our ragas and dveshas. We'll be guided by our vasanas.
This line, the Shankara argues that if an action that is not done can produce result, this is clear, but the next, then that which does not exist, a sat, can produce that which exists. Can you explain it again, like that, the next
Yeah.
half line?
No, that is exactly what he is only extrapolating it. If an action that is not done can produce results, this is the argument of the Purva Pakshi, isn't it? The Purva Mimamsa's argument. The argument is that if you do not do your Nitya Naimitika karmas, it produces papa. Then that which does not exist, asat, can produce that which exists, sat. He is only extrapolating it to say something, a non-existent karma produces results is the statement given. So he says, in which case, a non-existent sat, anything which is non-existent, that is asat, is producing sat, can produce sat. Which means to say, the example given is that a barren woman, a non-existent mother is producing a child, giving birth to a baby. That's not possible because it goes against the knowledge that we know. It is only a mother who is existent can produce a live baby. You cannot have a son of a barren woman even. So from asat, you cannot produce sat. I don't know whether that is clear.
This statement that can produce that which exists, sat, they are meaning that what is non-existent will produce a situation which is sat. Is it so, or is it?
No, he is only, this is Shankaracharya's counter argument. He says, if you people are saying that what is and non-action can produce results, then asat, something which is non-existent, will produce sat.
Okay.
And then he counteracts that. He says that is not possible.
That is not possible, right?
To
Fine.
say that a non-existent thing can produce an existent thing is like saying a non-existent mother can bear a son. So this contradicts all means of knowledge. So this is not true. He is presenting the argument and he is presenting a counter argument to say this is why it is not true.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
The only thing that I don't have a little clarity on here is that there is some drishta phala that is there because of non-action. That the pain and the conflict that the person goes through. What is meant by results? I'm sorry, I wasn't able to attend yesterday, neither was I able to go through that. It was exceedingly busy. So I will have to go back and read what is meant by the result. I think the result here is the punya and the papa. They're only talking of adrishta phala as the results, isn't it? Not the drishta phala.
And the reference is Nitya Naim, that karma, those are all karma only, which are good actions.
Yeah. Veda Nihita Karma. Shastra Vihita Karma, right?
Yeah. like not doing meditation daily. I mean, if it is a part of our routine and not, that is very clear that it is drishtaphala only. You do not, you feel irritated, you do not, I mean, you feel something is missing today. And if it continues due to laziness, then you take it as a part of your lazy routine.
Mm. Yeah, that is true. But why are we saying that, that irritation itself, it is a phala, it is actually a result also, isn't it?
Yeah, it is drishtaphala, immediate drishtaphala.
Immediate result. Your omission
By
will
doing
not.
that, the satisfaction you get, that is also drishtaphala.
Correct.
Which is experienced immediately after the action is drishtphala, right?
Mm. Yeah,
And
what is
adrish
drishtaphala is what you experience immediately.
immediately.
So papa and punya are they belong only to adrishta phala, something that um, gets fructified later. That is something that we do not see immediately. So when they say result over here, the result they're talking of is only adrishta phala. They're not talking of drishta phala over here. For an action that is not done, no result can accrue. Only for action that is done can there be adrishta phala, either punya or papa. If the action is proper, it will attract punya, and if it is improper, it will attract papa. Shankara argues that if an action that is not done can produce results, then that which does not exist, asat, can produce that which exists, sat. Yeah. It actually, to understand the, the Purva Mimamsa's, when these counter arguments are going on, arguments and counter arguments, unless we are very alert and we're listening, following the train of argument, we can get kind of little confused in our heads. No, I think we will have to go through that one more time. There is nothing to be done, only to be seen. This is, I think, clear, isn't it? So should we go forward to the next verse? My the only little link that is missing in my head is, isn't the drishtaphala also a result? They're calling it a result, but the result that, as I understand how Shankara's looks at is the result is only the adrishta phala is considered as something that is the result. Let me just, if you don't mind, I just want to go up back one more time. How objections are presented in the Vedanta. This, I think, you understand. If you don't mind, can I just read this part one more time?
Yeah, Brahmaraji, please.
Because this will give us the link to what they talk of result. The Purva Mimamsaka's argument. According to the Purva Mimamsaka, all sentences of the Veda deal primarily with action and therefore do not really convey anything that is already there. It should be clearly understood that the sentences throughout the entire Veda can be taken as commands in terms of what is to be done, Vidhi Vakya, or what is not to be done, Nisheda Vakya. Any sentence that reveals the nature of an object is connected to or subserves either a Vidhi Vakya or a Nisheda Vakya. This analysis of karma mimamsa, is very important because the orientation of any human mind, even the minds of those who are lazy, is towards karma, action. A person who is lazy is bothered because of the action that he or she does not perform. Thus, both the active and the lazy are oriented towards karma alone. That there is something to be done is the truth about everyone. For the Purva Mimamsaka then, moksha can only be gained by performing Nitya Naimitika Karma. Nitya Karmas are the daily rituals that one has to perform and certain other enjoined duties that are to be done. Naimitika Karmas are those karmas that have to be done on certain occasions, as at the time of an eclipse. And these Nitya Naimitika Karmas are to be done by everyone. Moksha, according to the Purva Mimamsaka, also involves not doing any kamya karma, the actions done for a specific desirable result. One must do only those actions which are duties. The idea here is to avoid both punya and papa. By not planning or performing any kamya karma, punya is avoided, and by not doing what is not to be done, papa is avoided. In this way, the prarabdha karma that brought this body into being will exhaust itself without your needing to do anything about it. The capital will be lost and the body will die. Having avoided all punya and papa, there will be no new karmas for you and therefore no cause for a new birth. All you have to do is keep eating daily and do your nitya naimitika karma. This then is the argument for gaining moksha through karma, the simple argument of the Purva Mimamsaka. The two sets of karma, Nitya karma and Naimitika karma, are called duties. The Purva Mimamsaka argues that because they are duties, there is no result for you when you do them. In other words, they do not produce punya. And when you do not do these karmas, the omission attracts papa to you. This is the crux of the Purva Mimamsaka's argument. How can one attract sin by not doing an action? An example is given. When a person bathes, no one notices. Because it is a common activity, no one says, "Oh, you seem to have taken a bath today." But suppose the person does not bathe. This omission is definitely noticed, if not by all, definitely by some. Thus, the Purva Mimamsaka's argument is that there are actions to be done. And if these are not done, there is a result. Nitya Naimitika karmas do not attract any result when they are done. Only when they are not done do they attract results, papa. This verse can therefore be seen from this standpoint. For the Purva Mimamsaka, the word karmani in the expression karmani akarmayav paschet means nitya naimitika karmani, in the actions that are to be done daily or occasionally. And akarma refers to the absence of any result. Phala abhava. Thus, the expression is taken to mean that one who sees akarma, the absence of result, in nitya naimitika karmas is wise. But if there is no result to be gained, nitya naimitika karma cannot be called a karma at all because there is no doer. To this, the Purva Mimamsaka says, no, there is a doer. Atma is the karta. Therefore, you cannot nullify the doer. The result alone is not there. And because there is no result, the karma becomes as good as a karma. And therefore, if there is no result, why perform action? At this point in the argument, any practical person is going to ask, if there is no result, why should I perform the action? After all, is it not more pleasant to do nothing? To do all these nitya naimitika karmas takes a lot of time. If there is no result, surely I need not do them. No, comes the reply, because if you do not do them, you will bring trouble upon yourself. There are many people who choose to go to heaven only because they are mortally afraid of hell, not because they are interested in heaven. Hell has been painted so vividly in their minds that naturally they cannot stand or to think of having to go there. Even to hear about it makes their blood pressure go up. Therefore, they want to avoid hell by going to heaven. This kind of heaven-hell discussion is what pushes people into religion, in fact. If the heaven and hell aspects were removed, these religions would topple. No one would even look into them. When the karma that is to be done by you is not done, you attract papa, and therefore it is to be done, according to how some people interpret the karmani akarma portion. And the expression akarmani karma is interpreted as not doing an action that is to be done. According to this argument, if the to be done action is not done, a result, phala, is produced and it becomes karma. Therefore, karma is akarma and akarma is karma. Akarma produces phala and karma does not. The one who sees all of this in this way is wise among human beings and has done all that is to be done. Sabuddhiman manishyeshu sayukta kritsna karma krit. This is the Purva Mimamsa's argument, to which Shankara responds as follows. So the Purva Mimamsaka's argument is that if you do your Nitya Naimitika karmas, you are, so to say, exhausting all your prarabdha karma, and when this body finally dies, you are left with no prarabdha karma, and therefore that is moksha. That is their argument. And if you do not do it, you accrue papa. You will get a result. So when you don't do, akarma produces karma. When you do karma, you're doing nitya naimitika karma, there is no akarma, there is no punya papa that you gain by doing your nitya naimitika karma. So that is the result they're talking about. So the result they're talking about here is only the adrishta phala, not the drishta phala. Whereas Shankara says, if what you do does not produce a result, and what you do not do produces a result, then why do any karma at all? The Shankara argues that what is not done does not produce unseen result, adrishta phala in the form of punya and papa, although there can be drishta phala, seen results. The omission of a to be done activity can produce conflict or worry, which is a drishta phala. For example, when you have to write a letter and you do not do it, there may be some conflict. In this way, there can be drishta phala, but no adrishta phala, which is punya and papa, the invisible results that accrue to the person who performs the action. We are talking only about punya papa here. So that is important for us to understand. So the only thing that is being talked of is the adrishta phala. For a karma that is not done, there can be no papa or punya, and for a karma that is done, results cannot be avoided. Karma phala will always be there as long as the karma is there. Even Nitya Naimitika karma produces results in the form of punya. Any to be done action, when it is performed, produces a result, and not doing it produces only drishta phala, seen results, and not papa. I think now it is clear, right? So,
Yes, Brahmaraji, very clear.
when what is to be done is not done, there is always some inner irritation, some sense that you have missed out. That like the daily meditation, etc. So your omission will not produce papa, although it produces some irritation. This is only drishta phala, not adrishta phala.
I'm sorry, I just joined. Can you please say it again? Yesterday we took the two examples, Draupadi Chirharan, and people were just the spectators. What about them? Are they not mm, committing any karma over their just by city? And if some crime is happening and if you feel that if you intervene, it might stop. So these two actions we thought were sorry mm, to be done, but we don't do it. So is it only the drishtafala we get, or
Yeah,
any other
it's
consequences?
only drishta phala you get, no? See, that is what we had discussed. I think you had not joined by then, because Bela had reminded about this question of yours. So it is drishta phala only for a dharmic person who is conscious, who is aligned to dharma. If what is to be done is not done, example Bhishma and all of them, they did not raise an objection. They were mute witnesses to uh, the the horrifying action that Dushasana was doing. That drishta phala they went through is the pain they went through then and there. There was, see, because here what they're talking of is only punya and papa. Punya and papa is only to do with adrishta phala, not drishta phala. So they go through that, they all have, of course, gone through the conflict in their mind.
And there was one more confusion, like you are walking, that becomes an action, and you don't walk, you just stand, that becomes one more action. So in this case, taking action against the crime or just being witnessed, can that not be a action again in that sense?
Yeah, in that sense, yes. But here what is the argument is what is to be done, you're not doing. We are not discussing karma, akarma, and all that. That is correct. What you're saying is right. But that is at a different context. That is in the context of saying no one can no one can be without doing action. For that, the examples given were even sitting and not doing is an action itself.
But since we are talking about karma and karma phala, on that basis, how do we take this?
Here, what I think the argument that Shankara has put forward is the Purva Mimamsaka's argument, and what is their thing is only in line with the Shastra Vihita karma, Nitya Naimitika karmas. What they say, see, I think our understanding should be in line with what this argument, the trail of argument is. So the argument put forward is that a person who does Nitya Naimitika karmas does not get any result. He only exhausts his prarabdha karma and he attains moksha. But if you do not do it, you accrue papa. And you go on into the cycle of birth and death. That is the Purva Mimamsa's argument, the Purva Pakshi's argument. What Shankaracharya is doing is to refute that. He says that is not what is meant by karmanyah karmayah paschet. The Purva Mimamsa says if you do a karma, that is if you do Nitya Naimitika karma, akarma happens. That is you don't accrue any result. So that is saying akarma in karma. And if you're not doing the action, if you're not doing your Nitya Naimitika karmas, you get karma. So akarmani karmayah paschet. That is their argument. So in line of that, in that line of thought, what Shankaracharya is putting forward is that by doing an action, you cannot escape the result. You get either punya or papa by doing an action. And by not doing what is to be done. So here, that not doing, you cannot bring in the argument saying, oh, not doing is also an action. Isn't it?
Yeah, we cannot bring it here, but that question remains, isn't it? Yeah, because it is related to karma and karma phala. That's why I feel it is related. But in this line of thinking, maybe yes, we are diverting a bit. But isn't that the same karma theory only we are talking, right? That's why this question came.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But I think in the simple argument of the Purva Mimamsas, for them, it is all about karma kanda. It is about doing Nitya Naimitika karma.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Means not doing Nitya Naimitika karma. So it is
right.
not like not doing Nitya Naimitika karma is also action. Then that, you're not going anywhere. We'll have
That's
to leave that aspect of karma over here.
Correct.
Like that not doing is also an action is what Shankaracharya has brought forward earlier. That is a different thing. What he is talking of with respect is to the argument that the Purva Mimamsas have brought out.
Yeah.
Correct, no? So that way he is only refuting their understanding. And he says, Hare, this is not the way you should interpret this verse. It is to be interpreted, the actual vachyartha, the literal meaning, it might seem like this, but the implied meaning is that any action you do will produce a result. So this is not,
Yeah, thank you.
That is why he argues that if an action that is not done can produce results, then that which does not exist, asat, can produce that which exists, sat. To say that a non-existent thing can produce an existent thing is like saying that a non-existent mother can bear a son. Yeah. I think today we went through this about 2-3 times till now, no? But
I'm
so
sorry.
it is no, it is good actually, so that we understand where the Purva Mimamsa's argument is coming from. So that all these doubts, see, we also have in our mind, when we are going through knowledge, we might get all these, we might take a stand of the Purva Mimamsa, which is why this Purva Pakshi is, this concept of the Purva Pakshi in Vedanta and Shankara's Bhashya is so beautiful, in that as a sadhak, you might get kind of confused with learning some concepts, learning the truths. So therefore, Shankara himself puts forward these arguments, and he says, no, this is not how you look at it. This is how you look at it. And he brings out that clarity. So it is good for us to go through this, so that it clears our own.
Shankara is making us more inquisitive, rather.
Yeah. And more contemplative about what is actually meant by the. Yeah. So knowing which is important, Kritsna karma with, and not Kritsna karma krit.
Yeah,
Once
that's the takeaway of the whole the whole, that's the crux of the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
So beautifully he has said in one verse.
Yeah. Thank you, Bela, for bringing that up, because when I was reading it, I missed that with. Although I must have read with, you brought out that beautiful, that subtle difference between with and krit. I think for Rinal's sake, I'll just read that. So there is, here he says, jnana is what is being talked about here, knowledge of karma and akarma. But mere knowledge does not produce results. Doing something produces results. How then can you say that the person is kritsna karma krit? You cannot. You can only say he or she is the one who knows all the karmas that are to be done and not to be done. Kritsna karma vit bhavati, natu kritsna karma krit bhavati. There is nothing to be done, only to be seen. Kritsna karma krit refers to a person of fulfillment, one who has achieved everything, a liberated person, a mukta purusha. Krishna makes this point clear not only here but before also, when he said that he would tell Arjuna about action and inaction, knowing which one is liberated. Tat te karma pravakshami yat jnatva mokshase shubhat. Had there be anything to be done, Krishna would have used the expression yat kritva, doing which, and not yat jnatva, knowing which. An analysis, that is mimamsa, what has been said before must always be kept in mind. Otherwise, there would be no analysis. When Krishna says knowing which, he meant knowing what karma is and what akarma is, which is not as easy as you may think. Karma is not to be taken as merely performing action, nor is akarma to be taken as not doing action. The real nature of karma and akarma is something that has to be understood by you, knowing which you will be released from all punya and papa that is inauspicious. The Purva Mimamsa says that you have to do karma, but what is said here is that by knowing the nature of karma and akarma, you are released from all punya and papa. This is what is meant by Vakyartha Vichara, inquiry into the sentence. The inquiry is done to find out what the sentence means and whether it has any other meaning. If there is another meaning possible, it will reveal a philosophy, a stand. Here, a particular stand is analyzed by Shankara and then dismissed as not being what was intended, as not being the meaning of the sentence. So we should be really so totally indebted to Shankaracharya for, doing this for us. Because at every junction, he has brought out the Purva Pakshi stand and he's clarified it.
No,
So-
means here, knowing the nature of karma and akarma, that is with tattva. What is that meaning of that karma and akarma? Means we are knowing Atma, which is not doing anything, it is not touched by whatever it is. So if we know exactly the meaning of karma and akarma, we are with Atma. If we have a different meaning for this, then that becomes a different philosophy. That is what it is. Itself, completely. See, if there is another meaning possible, it will reveal a philosophy, a stand. Here, a particular stand is analyzed by Shankara and then dismissed as not being what was intended, as not being the meaning of the sentence. We have to find the tattva of that. That is, tattva is that we are Atma and we are not karma and akarma. Because when you find that you are Atma, then you are not doing anything.
Correct.
We cannot take it as a sentence, We have to take it as a philosophy. If you mean another other than this philosophy, it is a different philosophy itself. That is what he says.
So this one thing is there. Going around in this only. Somewhere he says for the Purva Mimamsa, Atma is a doer. Where is that? So here, but if there is no result to be gained, Nitya Naimitika karma cannot be called a karma at all because there is no doer. To this, the Purva Mimamsa says, no, there is a doer. Atma is the karta. Therefore, you cannot nullify the doer. The result alone is not there. And because there is no result, the karma becomes as good as a karma. This argument of Purva Mimamsa is a little difficult for us to understand here, but that is how they produce, that is their argument.
It's not an Advaita philosophy at all.
Yeah. To this, there is a doer.
Yeah.
Therefore, you cannot nullify the doer. The result alone is not there. So that is only their standpoint. Their standpoint is what? When you do Nitya Naimitika karma, you do not get any result. Only if you don't do, you get the result. That is the papa. And therefore they say Atma, you cannot nullify the doer. It's completely in contradiction to what Shankara says, that the Atma is the non-doer.
And also, according to Bhagavan's philosophy in Srimad Gita, there is no doer, right? If you
Yes.
consider Atma, whatever action it is
Yeah.
done, it's done automatically. It
Mm.
is, you are just a witness. But most of the times, we are doing as per Purva Mimamsika's feeling guilty by not intervening, or feeling guilty for not doing certain things. So here Shankaracharya ji is making us free from that guilt, that by not doing that thing, it is okay. Even that non-action is not also giving you any adrishta phala in form of papa.
But there is a little caution over here, Bela.
Yeah. That is there, Vivek. It
Because
is very
that
much
is,
clear.
yeah, what Shankaracharya is meaning as is the person who is a jnani, who has reached that level, that kritsna karma krit, that buddhiman, sab buddhiman. For a buddhiman, all this is fine. But as long as you're still on the path of becoming a buddhiman, we will have to go through that feeling guilt when you're not doing it. See, that in the process, you have to actually follow this. It's, I don't know how to put it forward, but we cannot say, see, as sadhaks doing our daily, take the example of that daily meditation. For a jnani versus an ajnani, for a jnani versus a sadhak, for a jnani, whether he does meditation, does his kriya, does everything, like for instance, Gurudev, it does not matter at all. For him, he's already in that space of non-doership. Whereas for all of us who are sadhaks, if we say, whether I do meditation or not doesn't matter because I'm not the non-doer, then we are kind of belittling this, and it will not aid us in our sadhana.
Foolishness. We cannot do that. I understand clearly. That is
Yeah.
it's for our benefit, and we have to continue our nitya naimitya karma also.
Correct.
But
with the understanding of from the standpoint of Shankaracharya, as in we're doing nitya naimitika karma not to gain moksha. We're doing nitya naimitika karma only to bring about the antakarna shuddhi.
Yes.
And one more point is, if not doing the nitya karma, we'll be doing otherwise, you see.
Correct.
Which is not it is not vihita karma.
Correct.
It is just like increasing your good cholesterol, decreasing your bad cholesterol by increasing the good cholesterol.
It is like if you do not do nitya naimitika karma, because a person cannot stay without doing anything, he will eventually do what is not to be done. And that will take him down into a negative spiral. Instead of evolving, instead of becoming more emotionally mature towards mumukshutvam, he will go the opposite direction. Therefore, nitya naimitika karmas have to be done with the understanding that they cleanse our mind, they bring in that antakarna shuddhi. And it is not for papa or punya that we are doing nitya naimitika karma. So that understanding, if we have, so then we are fine. Then we are not doing it as Purva Mimamsa. We are doing it as in line with what Shankaracharya's thought is, in line with what Krishna is teaching. We're doing it in line with Advaita.
And the Jnani does his Nitya Karma because he is a leader, the others will follow him.
For Loka Sangrahanartha, to protect people, to set an example, to be a role model. And that's exactly why Gurudev does his sadhana every day.
See?
He does the Padma sadhana, he does his Kriya every day. He does meditation every day, although he does not require to do it. That is why Krishna also says, no, I think in the previous verses, he says, if there is nothing for me to do in this world, because everything that has to be accomplished is done. I don't gain anything by doing, but I still have to do, because otherwise the cosmic cycle, the creation will not kind of sustain. And that is why he goads Arjuna. He says, if you do not do what is to be done, people will follow your example and they will think going to Rishikesh is priority and not fighting for dharma. So as a Kshatriya, your dharma is to protect dharma. So if you do not do, you'll be setting a wrong example.
Yeah, doing the right thing at the right time and at the right place.
Yeah. I think we should all thank the Purva Pakshi, no? Because of the Purva Pakshi only, we are able to get that little clarity of is there anything else to be discussed? Because we discussed quite a bit on this. I will just go through the next verse. So we'll make a beginning of the next verse. So this is such an exhaustive verse, verse number 18. One of the most, I think, confusing verses with respect to karma and akarma, action and inaction, inaction and action. And then Shankaracharya brings in the aspect of the Purva Pakshi and all that. So it's quite an exhaustive verse.
Yeah, Drishta and Adrishta Phala especially.
Yeah, yeah. As I understand, see, the Drishta Phala does not contribute to your karma bank, because you experience it then and there. It is only the Adrishta Phala that it adds on to your karma bank. If you remember the Sanchita Agami and the Prarabdha Karma. So that Adrishta Phala that accrues goes into that Agami Karma.
I think that was the cause of our rebirth, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the cause.
But why is it so? Why don't you get the result instantly every time?
It is like asking as soon as you sow a seed, why doesn't the tree come and why doesn't the fruit appear? It takes time. There is some Drishta Phala, there is Adrishta Phala. That's a good question, but that is how it is.
But Drushtapala, you know your destiny. You will be born again.
Yeah.
Means that was not your highest goal. You see, we are on a path to a highest goal. So we should avoid this. That is what it is.
The Maya entangles us in all these Punya and Papa.
It is like asking why it takes elephant baby to born in 24 months and why a human being gets birth in 9 months. Why it is like that? So there is no
So in fact,
bigger.
yeah. In fact, the question is, not belittling the question. It's a very profound, it's a good question wherein it is like asking, why do we require 9 months for a human baby to form? Just the thought you thought of having a baby, you should have a baby. Like immediately. But that is not how it is. It is, I think if we remember, for this, I think Savita ji, we need to go back to introduction of the Gita where Swamiji talks of Drishtaphala and Adrishtaphala.
And also the examples given in the verses before, like smoke, if it just smoke goes, we see the fire. That is immediate. Then the second one is the cleaning of the window. It takes little time. And the third example, he gave the embryo, the child. It takes 9 months. So that example is really good example. So he gave 3 examples how karma can take its course, depending upon the degree of our attachment to whatever it is. Our attachment to the world is so big, we have to take that 9 months to form everything, that impressions and all, that everything. A womb is needed. Then we have to go there, form ourselves. We have to be born with the parent, what it is. Then those karmas of parents also matching with our past karmas. So that all takes place. It takes 9 months.
Just for another way to take it, like Kuntima got Drishtaphala immediate by having that Karna as a son. But the result was not in favor of her, right? Just a thought, just a small, it came just.
Yeah. And also the Adrishtaphala, the concept of Adrishtaphala is, if you remember, if the initial reading that we did, Ishvara is the karma phala data. Even for us to, this concept of Adrishtaphala is there only for a karma yogi. It is not there for a dharma, not for an ethical person. If you contrast an ethical person, an atheist, to a person who believes that there is Ishvara, for an atheist, like what you said, Savita ji, there is only immediate action. There is no concept of punya and papa at all for them. There is no concept of heaven and hell. They believe, an atheist believes, you just live, let live, khao, pio, maja karo in this world. Why do you have to worry about next life and punya, papa and all that? And of them, people who are dharmic, who are ethical, will continue to be ethical, but then that is it. They have no growth whatsoever. They continue to be ethical and they'll keep they'll be born again and again in the samsara. Whereas for a mumukshu, the concept of Ishvara is very important. In that, he is the Adrishta, the karma phala data. So every action we do has either Drishtaphala and Adrishtaphala. Drishtaphala is like what we have seen just now. Immediate action, either the joy that you get or the sadness that you go through with whatever is happening with that particular action. Whereas there is also an Adrishtaphala that is unseen. So that unseen result is what is given by Ishvara, is what we call grace, isn't it? I'm just recollecting what we had read earlier in the introduction for us to understand why your question is, just bringing us back to that, is why not every action only Drishtaphala? Why Adrishtaphala? And the adrishta phala of things that are to be done. When you do things that have to be done, for a karma yogi, that produces antakarana shuddhi. He does it because he wants to purify his antakarana. Whereas a karma kandi will do it only to get a place in heaven. He is those are those yamimam pushpitam vacham. They want to gain a place in heaven. So the concept of adrishta phala is for a Vedantin, is only for a mumukshu. It does not apply to an atheist. I don't know whether I was able to kind of bring a little bit of, I mean, this is my understanding. I may not be completely right in answering.
No, you are right, Paramraj, you are right. And you put it in such a good words, really. I could not, though I know it, I could not have put those in the words. Nicely put it.
Yes,
Yeah,
so grateful. I mean, your explanation is so easily digestible, like a halwa. It goes so nicely.
I think it is only thanks to Swamiji and his explanation. That's all. It is it is just a reflection of that, of his clarity and the way so logically he brings up things.
The Savitaji asked the question, right? The question been asked so many times when people are not well, severely, they're struggling in their life. Such people get that, okay, what did I do wrong that I'm suffering? And then when we say that, yeah, it is your karma only, he says, how do I know that which karma I did so that at least I can, correct in this life? If I don't know anything, what has happened and I am getting punished now, it's not fair. Just few days back, I was talking to someone and this was his argument. If I don't know what I had done wrong, just by suffering, how would I know what should not be done?
That is why
Therefore, we
it is
have to
Ganma
follow
Karmano
Vedas.
Gati, no?
No, therefore, we have to follow Vedas.
Correct. That is why we have pramana. And also there is this that example that Swamiji gives, wherein, for example, a couple wants to get a child. They're wanting to get a child, and everything is fine, but they still do not get a child. Why? That is because of the adrishta phala. So therefore, in order to invoke a child, that the putra kameshti yaga is done when King Dasharatha did not beget children. In order to beget children, he does that. So that putra kameshti yaga is something that should I say, how do I put it? It enables that adrishta phala to manifest. But that becomes a kamya karma. To gain something, you do some yajna, yaga and all that. So whatever ill effects of whatever you've done, which is what is preventing you from getting a child, is taken care of by doing this yaga. Then you beget a child.
No, Krishna says, no, in whatever bhava you do the yajna, I will give you the results accordingly.
Mm.
In whatever way you pray me, the degree of the Shraddha and that varies, everywhere.
Mm.
And according to that, you get the Adrashta Phala.
If you want to develop your biceps, only biceps will be developed. That is also prayer. But if you want the highest, that is what you will get. And that is why he says, Mameva Sharanam. Whatever you do.
Puraja.
Yeah. Nice.
So the latent period, the latent period which is there, it is due to like the God has wants you to go into the suffering, which will make you more like will make your antakarana shuddh by following all his teachings in the Vedas. So the suffering plus the knowledge, to gain that, you have that long latent period until you are not like, if you are not going into a tapas, you will not purify yourself. So that would be the
Yeah.
I think this pleasure and pain, suffering, and this thing is also our mind-made thing. It can vary from person to person. If somebody likes
yeah, it's only
very
through the knowledge
pungent,
that the knowledge and the suffering, they go hand in hand. If you are having some type of suffering, and with the knowledge you clear your mind by putting the inputs of the knowledge, then your suffering lessens to quite a degree. But if you don't have the knowledge, then your intensity of suffering would be more.
correct.
See, then again, it is not God who's giving us all of this. We are creating a blueprint ourselves.
Yeah,
He's,
we are responsible.
yeah, he's just
Yes.
set in the cosmic creation. He has created it with a set of rules. And everything that happens is in accordance to the cosmic rule. Every action has a reaction, has a result. And that result, whether it is good or bad, depends on us, on what kind of action we have done. And like you said very rightly, pain is a fact, whereas suffering is an option. So earlier when we read, I think 2 days back or so, where if you are in that non-doer space, then you're not suffering. You're not identifying yourself with that subject, with that prathama karaka. You are looking at pain, but from a witness consciousness. You are looking at things happening to your body. That is how Ramana Maharshi was. That is how even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa were. They had to go through that prarabdha. They did have a lot of pain, but they were detached from that. They did not suffer.
As Guruji says, no, we are ready to take the garbage. We are waiting to take the garbages. Instead of detaching it, we want garbage, aja mujhe maar. We are that way. So
Because over so many lifetimes we have got the concept that we are the body, we are the mind, we are all those that are other than the self, is so like hammered into us. Vedanta is like slowly, little by little, removing that nail, so that that how we are nailed into this concept is nailed into us. We slowly have to remove that nail and become free. We are not any of them. So with that negation, with knowledge, Shabda is the pramana. That vritti, that Brahma Jnana vritti, when that occupies us, that should be there like that tambura in the background, that Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. In all of our activities, if we have this as that background tanpura music, then we slowly will start living more in that witness consciousness. That itself will become a sadhana. I think we'll stop here today, and we'll continue tomorrow. No? We had very useful discussion, although we went round, but it was very good. I think
Yeah, this karma, and this thing is very important. Individually, also, we need to ponder over it, whatever today we have discussed. Because then only it will come into our preview where how my life is going. Otherwise, no, it's so subtle things these are. We will continue to be the way we were in our previous lives also. So very important that we should focus on these small things and tune up ourselves also.
That is
That
what
is
is
what-
jnana. That is
that
what
is
is jnana.
exactly. That is what I was trying. Very good, Sureshji. That is what is jnana. When you know, knowledge purifies and knowledge is liberating. That is why Krishna karma with. That is why Gurudev says, all what you're doing will not liberate you. All the Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, nothing will liberate you. And that was what he said in one of his satsangs earlier. So everyone was like baffled. This is no, nothing of this, no action will liberate you. It is only knowledge. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Dhanyavad.